Hi, this is Rocco and welcome to this new video about how to shield from negativity. Positive and negative are energies, and energies that have a connotation. Energy on its own doesn't have a connotation because this is what keeps you alive. Energy is directly in you, and energy can be summoned from the universe, a spirit, God, or life itself in order to have more energy. And humans do recharge of it through sleep and other practices such as eating, drinking, perhaps relaxing, meditating, and other activities. Energy is not only positive or negative, but can have other connotations, such as energy that is cold, energy that is warm, energy that is emotional. But even there we have a range of positive and negative possibilities, such as love, hate, sadness, and others that are vague or definite energies. So, how to read energy? In order to read energy, one knows oneself. One tries to understand and define oneself, your own psyche, and then everything that doesn't match with the certainty of your person is automatically the energy or character or personality or tone of another. So energy is similar to information. So each energy has a message. This is also what we use in prayer and what even in churches is defined as energy or attitude, because energy is, for example, positive or respectful when you pray to a certain deity or when you pray to a certain saint, and then Mother Mary tells you to have better posture or to be more positive, to be more respectful, to be more polite, and all this stuff here. And you are expected to have a certain mask or, again, attitude in society. If you go to a funeral, people expect you to be sad. If you go to a movie according to the genre, people expect you to have a certain type of energy. Usually today's society, energy is directed by the status quo and not by your feelings. So the situation and society determines and directs your energy towards a certain tone or behavior. So be sorry because your grandmother died, even if perhaps you didn't have a good relationship with her, or if she was ever mean to you, just because it is written. So, and never mind if she was a sinner or not, you are required to fall into the labels and the categories that direct you or force you or deprive you of the liberty to feel in a certain way towards a certain topic. So when you go out in society today, and so it was in the past, you don't necessarily have an energy that pleases people, especially if you're happy. Energy is one thing and light is another. So people like the devil with negative energy can use a light that's more positive or vibrant or with a higher frequency, a brighter color, sheer tone and stuff that would only please your eyes and doesn't make you wonder if the energy behind it is especially positive or negative. So in that way you remain superficial and you don't analyze and you don't have time to get an impression out of what that person is saying. So energy and having a positive energy is similar to like being polite, and in certain countries being polite is considered in a habit, and in another country another habit is considered polite. In Japan, burping again after a meal is considered not only polite but a standard. In the US, it rhymes more with The Simpsons and stuff like that. And then it all depends on where you go, but usually it wouldn't be considered polite, example, to do that in public. For women, in the past, it was considered not polite for them to be sexual in public towards anyone, including their husband, because this was supposed to be something private, while today women display their sexuality more openly. And this is considered a target reached with intention these days, and men are considered cheated on but happy, and so the other way around. So there's positive and negative in life, and there's good and evil, and yes, most times even not for the absolute and not for the rightful, but truly good and evil are what you define as such. And for you to define good and evil as such, you have to interpret a situation. If, on the other hand, any given situation has a certain standard, then you have more like what is a gentleman etiquette, or you have again a behavior, but you don't go deep into what the feeling of a person is. Sometimes it's a good idea if you are around negative people to shield your energy. Christ said in the Gospels that it doesn't really matter. He was mentioning food. He said it doesn't really matter what kind of silverware you use, or if you're eating in an expensive restaurant, or what kind of ways are your ways. What counts is your heart in the situation, and if you're having fun and if you're feeling well. In that sense, you have to be happy with who you are and where you are and what you're doing. And in this sense, it's preferable to eat alone than eat with people who are negative. So truly this is true, and not an opinion. So it's true that forcing the youth to have certain standards at all costs in their family and outside, while creating this suffocating climate of fear or contempt around them, is not satisfactory. So a way to shield from other people is to keep things simple and never betray the principle of God in that situation, meaning never go closer to your deficiencies in order to please another, because in this way another would prey on you. So this is a way to be sure if a certain thing or a certain sentence or a certain way from people leaves you either straight up angry, or not sure, doubtful about what that person said, what they really meant, or if a certain kind of enthusiasm, example, you're a bit of a shithead, right? And that doesn't leave you time to jump in. That sentence, that's an example of negative psychology, and the effects of this, for those who don't notice any negativity or change immediately, could also lead to illness or any type of psychosomatic disease or disorders. So there's people who, just for lacking a certain support, or for the way of the energy of another to be praying, B-R-E-Y, then they would lose their job because someone gives them the evil eye and they start feeling guilty, or someone pretends that that person is not being heard, not being cared, is not being loved, people backbiting each other, and so on and so forth. This is in the very psychological era that we live in, very present. And one way we can shield from this is with Archangel Michael, remembering that not everyone knows us, that to read through our eyes, people have to get our permission, and we are able to send stuff back, meaning something that doesn't belong to you, that you don't like an object, you give back to that person, even if especially if you didn't like it, you're not required to accept the gifts of the devil out of politeness just because it's considered bad luck if you turn something down from him. And also that you don't, fourth, that you don't regret something. What if that person was to give you, what if every what if needs to be motivated, because there's also the what if nots. So never surrender and never give in. People need to understand that the way to be immaculate in front of all of this, in front of these people sending you negativity on purpose or being negative on their own. This is the case of a lot of doctors of the mind, psychotherapists who have their patients or clients being with a mental disease or slightly disturbed, and that could pass on to the next person with eye contact or just again with their energy. And just like when you talk to your mother, you're not happy because you talk to your mother per se, but you're happy because the person you're talking to has a certain type of energy that could also include the characteristics of the energy of a mother, such as calming or reassuring or motivating. But it doesn't necessarily mean that a person that is more reassuring and more motherly than your mother cannot be defined mother energy. So at the same time, if your mother has an energy that is disruptive, you're not necessarily required to follow her just because she's playing the your mother card. So a way to win this is to play the card of best acceptance, one option, or at all means take this as a game. Don't take this as your mother. Don't expect people to be like your mother. People around you, just choose the type of energy you need in your life and go on following that. If it comes directly from God because you're on your own, or if it comes from people who take on that energy from God as well, or who choose a different paradigm, then you can do that. But what doesn't change is the idea of wisdom and the idea of advancement that these people want to bring you. They bring you to having a high expectancy, kind of like Jesus Christ, if you think about it, or God, seen from a certain light, someone who gives you everything, but in the end he does not. Because there's wars, there's pain, there's energy vampires and stuff like that, and he doesn't really care. So but then he's God. So even the idea of God, or the God you like, doesn't necessarily have to match what other people think that you will do. If your mother expects you to be a liar, many people take that suggestion as valid. A mother thinks that you will be a good husband to Catherine, but you're more in love with Mary Louise. and you end up marrying perhaps Anna because you're confused, and that's already a good outcome if you think about it. So people end up thinking that they have to please another person, thinking that they have to love another person in a certain way that's being showed because of their power, because of their authority over you. And people, in other words, manifest an information that you certainly aren't stupid. And if by going out with a certain person you get a certain feeling, it's not the moon, it's not that you put too much sauce on your pasta for lunch, or that you're high, or that even like St. Paul, you saw Jesus and you were walking through a desert. If you have a certain feeling, you have a certain feeling. You just have to be aware, and religions like Buddhism or others teach you the way to be that. And when you are being aware of what's going on, and this is not something that's not down to earth, on the contrary, when you are aware of what is going on, that people cannot drive you with their pretty please, 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 please come close to me, and then not leaving you the time that you need to develop a certain thought, be happy about something. People can be totally drained within a day, and even if they go on with life, they won't be happy. I remember thinking about a friend of a friend years ago, and it took me only the thought of thinking that this person needed to get evil in her life, and it was not like a true curse, but by chance, after 5 or 6 years, I turned on the TV and I saw that in Australia, um, this girl's name, I think it was Gloria or something, she had an accident with her car in Australia, and her and 6 of her friends died. And there you go, anything to take care of people, while all of a sudden these people can be gone. And that's another example of negativity, people detaching from other people without giving explanations to retain a power, to have that last sentence that would set a certain tone in that situation, or that would give a certain input of superiority over somebody else. So in nature, when an apple from a tree is ripe, it falls down on the earth. But when an apple that's ripe and an apple that's rotten are one close to each other, the apple that's rotten has negative power to influence the existence, if you will, even of the other apple that can be tainted. A lot of times people don't take enough time to care about themselves. They don't take all the necessary, don't even study all those things that they need to perfect if they really truly want to be satisfied. So every day before going out or before talking to people, perhaps in your daily meditations and prayers, try to see what it is that you like about your life, if there's anything missing. And if there is, and I hope not, pray to God that to your deity of choice, to your religion, that something comes to you. And don't entitle another person to give you a judgment rather than a suggestion of what is lacking in your life. In this way, you don't give anyone the privilege to take care of you just because you have something that's lacking, or you don't take proper care of yourself, or your faith isn't strong enough. So this is truly a spiritual exercise that you do through other people that give you the opportunity to strengthen your barrier and to strengthen your protection. Even wearing a talisman for protection like the hexagram or Star of David can help you, and the cross and other symbols, even pentacle, which represents the elements of nature, which are the same elements represented in the Tetragrammaton. That's the 4 letters that are the name of God that's made up of different things, different elements, different facts, if you will. So I get a lot of questions lately what to do if you encounter a certain person, what to do if you feel that someone has touched something intimate for you. My suggestion is to always be watchful and to never treat another with empathy, except when you learn to do it from the outside. So without touching the other people's emotion directly, straightforwardly, but just by thinking of it or feeling it from the outside. So you just have to train yourself in this art, and at all costs you would even spend a whole day researching about this. A lot of people decide that like zombies or vampires, after they get bitten for the first time, then they start biting, but in this way they lower their the horizon of their choices and their consciousness, perhaps their conscious level. It all becomes more nocturnal, more subconscious. You don't give the other person, the person that's negative, the idea that you truly understand what she's saying. Simply go through actions, and then you automatically understand at the end of the day, when you are detached from anyone, if another person gave you something good or not. You don't constantly live smiling all day just because Christ is alive or the Bee Gees are playing, but you are happy because you are not negative. You are not in the constant need to bring down another in order to shine. So this is for today, it's perhaps a small introduction on the topic. But I wanted to give you this because I see that there's a lot of people around that are confused. So it was my pleasure. Again, my name is Rocco, and come and check out my channel on YouTube called Esoteric Services. And one last tip, be sure to never exchange sight with the person that's in front of you, and just to look at them. Say, for example, where Hindus have their red dot in front of their forehead, close to their eyes, perhaps, or look at them just slightly less directly, because through a person's eyes, even if they don't know hypnosis, then is easy to create a connection, and you don't want to connect with someone to derive what you want to derive from life directly, and this is your handicap or frustration, if you will. Thank you. I hope this was helpful for a start, and until next time, greetings and angel blessings to you all. Thank you.